dram half full. And whether your glass is half full or half empty, I'm here to help you guys refill it. So welcome. Now, today is Australia Day. So we're going to be talking a little bit about an Australian distillery that inspires the next generation of whiskey producers and consumers and encourages a very sustainable approach towards production. I'm talking about Belgrove. Now, Belgrove is just a little tiny distillery just northeast of Hobart. So it's very, very small, but the quality of the spirit that they produce is absolutely phenomenal. The guys that operate the distillery, Peter Bignell and Man Mazen, are phenomenal gentlemen. Peter is actually the founder of the distillery and has a long history of rye agriculture. Now, the distillery that he runs and operates is very rustic, is probably the polite way of saying it. Now, I'll paint a picture for you. I went there in 2023, December 2023, for my 30th birthday with a bunch of my friends, and it was a lovely experience. We ventured down the driveway with Man in tow, and we passed this beautiful old provincial house. Just behind that house is a series of sheds surrounded by rye farms. Absolutely beautiful. Now the sheds are all kind of a little bit dilapidated. There's just junk lying around, scattered throughout the yard. There's old washing machines, giant gas valve duvelakis, and it really seems like a junkyard. And so that was our first impression, and we're like, is this the right place? Like, I know Man has led us here and he says he's here to host a whiskey tasting, but this doesn't look like any of the distilleries I've ever visited in my life. So we're a little bit caught off guard at first, but very quickly, Man starts taking us on the tour through the premises, and he's walking through the fields as we approach to the actual facility, and he's pointing out all of the rye fields and talking a lot about the grain. So they source all of their water from a local dam, and they grow all of their crop themselves on site. They have sheep that are all over the place, and all of the droppings and the byproduct, if you will, from the sheep is collected and harvested and used as fuel to smoke a lot of their whiskeys. Absolutely bizarre, I know. So instead of burning peat, they will sometimes use sheep dung. I mean, if that doesn't blow your mind straight away, I don't know what will. So as we're walking closer to the building, there's a couple of barrels that are just sitting in the yard. And Man explained that this is an experimental cask program that they're running, and that they are just seeing what the natural environment, exposure to the wind, the rain, the sun does to the whiskey. Now, I can only imagine that would be pretty horrendous for the angel share, but I mean, there's got to be some science to that madness, or method to that madness rather, because you're going to get so much of the natural environment influencing the cask system, the cask maturation process. We continue again closer, still not into the building yet, and we come to the washing machines that are just outside the building. Now, these are old, giant industrial grade washing machines, and Man explains to us that Peter, the founder, has actually jerry-rigged these old washing machines and turned them into malting vats, or malting machines, if you will. I'm not really sure what the technical term is. So he's adjusted the timing and the cadence of these machines to slowly rotate, and he's also he's used these second-hand gas valve cylinder things to pump smoke, whether it's peat or sheep dung, into the grain to allow it to malt and to actually sprout. So in a nutshell, that is just so bizarre. So obviously Peter is an incredibly ingenuitive individual, and he's very, very crafty. He doesn't buy anything new, and that is made even more clear when we see their still. We get led into the distilling room. This still is beautiful, but it's very unique. It's a pot still, but it is completely hand fabricated by Peter himself. So again, all of the malting machines, the smoking machines, the still itself, every piece of machinery and equipment has either been fabricated and built by Peter himself or has otherwise been jerry-rigged by taking dilapidated or secondhand, machinery and converting it and adjusting it to his needs and his specifications, which the ingenuity of that absolutely blows my mind. It is such a closed loop in how they create their product. From the grain to the smoking materials to the water supply, everything is sourced locally from the farm. What makes this even more exciting is that Peter actually uses, there's a roadhouse, I guess like a little petrol station / burger joint that's just down the road from his property, and he actually sources all of their old cooking oil from the roadhouse, and he converts it, turning it into a biofuel that he uses to fire the stills and also to fuel all of the machinery that he has, as well as even fuel his truck and his tractor and forklift. So the guy is an absolute mad scientist. He's brilliant. Anyway, we get in and we finally make it through to their tasting room, and Man has a selection of all of these beautiful Belgrove bottles lined up, and on top of that, they have it's mixed in with a whole library of little test bottles and tubes and all of these different varieties of different experimental releases and little cask samples from everywhere. It's bonkers. From there, Man takes us through a series of different whiskey releases that they produce. So a lot of the whiskey that they make is unmalted and 20% malted. So we're getting a lot of natural rye flavors coming through into the actual whiskey, and it's not super malty like you would expect from, say, a lot of other distilleries like Kinglake or even a lot of scotches that we know and love. Of course, you can't go to an experience like this and not take home a couple of bottles. So I picked up one that I was really drawn to on the day. So we're drinking today the Belgrove Rye Whiskey. It's non-chill filtered, it's cask strength, so it's bottled at 58% ABV. So that's why I've got my water here with me, because I felt like we might need it just to open and unlock some of those additional layers. It's a 500ml bottle, which in my opinion, I get a little disappointed when distilleries choose to do a 500ml bottle, but keep their pricing the same as 700ml expressions. But that's a personal thing of mine. So approximately 26 standard drinks. This one was bottled in 2023. Pinot Noir casks, and they use rye whiskey. As I mentioned earlier, this is 80% unmalted, 20% malted. Now, I bought this back in 2023, and I haven't even opened this thing yet. And I feel like this is the day to do this, Like, it's such a quintessential Australian whiskey, and the operation that they have there is incredibly unique. And I believe we're not here to celebrate colonialism or anything like that. Today, we're here to celebrate Australians that are making a difference in an industry that is heavily congested with, traditionality and a lot of, pretentiousness. So that's what we're here for. So let's crack this open. Now, one beautiful thing, it's wax dipped, which I'm not a huge fan of because I find breaking into a wax dipped bottle is a nightmare. But they've actually done screw tops, so opening this bad boy up is not an issue at all. Wow. All right, let's go. I'm gonna pour a slightly smaller bottle today, smaller glass today, because this is 58% ABV. Now, off the bat, that color is rich. So non-chill filtered, I'm not aware of any colors that are added. I might be wrong there, but I'm under the impression that they don't add any coloring to their whiskeys. The color is deep. It's not so much a mahogany, but it's almost like a bit of like an oxidized still color. So a bit of that copper note in there as well. All right, let's go for the nose. So off the bat, the Pinot is making itself known. It is rosy, it is a little metallic, but there is a lot of beautiful red fruits that ride the whole nose. Does that sentence even make any sense? Rides the whole nose. Oh, there's a bit of an ashiness in there as well, like charcoal or something. Beautiful. Let's go in and taste this thing, cilantro. Wow. Can I just say, that is incredible. I'm actually sitting here thinking, why did I not open this any earlier? What a phenomenal whiskey. That is robust, it is challenging, it's got so much dynamic flavor. The molecules are just playing around in my mouth. I haven't even gotten to the flavor profile yet. Okay, so it's rich. There's sultanas, I guess, but maybe they're presenting more as like a bit of like a sun-dried red fruit. Not so much cherries. I'm thinking more like, it almost is like a dark cherry. Oh man, dark cherry. There's a lot of oak in there as well. It's balanced out, and I get like a whiff of smoke as well. I'm not even sure if there's any peat in this thing, but I'm feeling this kind of like charred caramel sort of note. Oh, beautiful. Guys, if you haven't tried this whiskey, I implore you to get your hands on a bottle. I think it comes in at 190 Australian dollars, which isn't cheap, especially for a 500ml bottle, but I mean, that's gotta be the best damn rye I've ever had. And the Pinot is perfectly balanced. Sometimes I find mixing red fruits with like a rye, you're getting these kind of, not different flavors, but sometimes they don't integrate super well. Now, I've just added a couple of drops of water, and I'm gonna give that a little swirl just to help the molecules integrate. I'm getting floral notes now. It's not delicate. It's almost as though like somebody's taken, it's not jasmine, but it's one of those little white flowers where when they get to the end of their life and the bud's about to fall off the plant, they get a bit of like a sickly sweet sort of smell to them. A lot of the minerality is coming through as well, but it's presenting as metallic. The legs on that is just incredible. It is just locking onto the side of the glass. It really is like almost syrup texture. The duration of the palate lingers. This is one of those whiskeys that just rides out all day long. It is long and enduring. The texture is just rich and oily. It's so bold, and I feel like a little bit more of the maltiness has come out now that I've added some water. That is fascinating. Again, highly recommend this bottle. It has got to be one of the best, if not the best ryes I've ever had. Now, as I mentioned earlier, I'm not celebrating, Australia Day as a whole, but I am commemorating the Australians that create such a beautiful craft. I've never experienced something so elegant and yet so diverse and challenging. And I think the entire approach that Belgrove has on their production is inspirational, and it really sets an example for creating high quality spirits with a minimal cost to the environment, and how ingenuity can really build a brand and create a dynamic point of difference from other competitors on the market. So if you get a chance, snag yourself a bottle. It's highly recommended from me. Anyway guys, thank you for stopping by, and may your days be as full as your glass. Cheers to that.